So we're ready to go?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, excellent. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm pleased to welcome you to the Learn and Share event, How Are You Celebrating Virtual Pride? A community call hosted by the Boston Pride Committee. My name is Lauren Boudreaux-Steves. Preferred pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a new volunteer to the Boston Pride's History Subcommittee, and I'm a program manager and founding member and chair of the LGBTQ+ Ally Employee Resource Group at Iron Mountain here in Boston. We'll be joined on the call today by representatives of Berkshire Bank, Dell Technologies, and Biogen, along with members of the Boston Pride Committee, to have an open dialogue and share some ideas on what companies are doing to celebrate Pride in this time of social distancing. With the kickoff call, our guest presenters share what the organizations are doing to celebrate Pride this year. And we'll hear from social media and marketing Boston Pride volunteers, and then we'll transition to an open forum format on the call for any questions and provide an opportunity for all of you to exchange ideas. During each of the presentations, if you could have your questions or comments, please use the chat feature, and we'll address the questions at the end of the presentation. Also, at the end of the presentation, we'll have an opportunity to unmute your phone lines and ask questions directly. So our first presenter today, I'd like to introduce Chad Stier from Berkshire Bank, Connecticut. Chad is a member of the Berkshire Bank's Diversity and Inclusion Committee and co-chair of the bank's Pride ERG and board member of the Connecticut Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Chad.
Thank you so much for that great introduction, and thank you to Boston Pride and all of the group for putting this together today. We're excited to share at Berkshire some of our new initiatives and how we kind of retooled ourselves coming into the COVID, and how could we really celebrate and also provide a more inclusive culture. So on our first slide that we pull up, our biggest focus for the year we've been working on is coming up with a new and inclusive decal. So that's pictured on the screen here. We wanted to make sure it was the most inclusive that we could have. So of our committee, which is comprised of above 25 members, we had a lot of discussion around colors, including the trans community, the people of color as well. And in our internal groups, we wanted to really focus on highlighting our other ERG groups. So you can see them listed as cultures, religions, genders, colors, ages, disabilities, and veterans. So we felt this was the most inclusive way to launch. And we're actually putting these on our branches and all back offices and vehicles for this month. That's kind of how we're kicking off our June Pride celebrations and events. On the next slide, we had come up to a conversation and realizing that we're all members of the community and some of the allies understood what the colors of the rainbow stood for, but some members that are going to be new and introduced to this were not sure. We came up with an introduction video that explains all the colors of the rainbow, the pink and the blue for our trans community, and making sure people are really aware of the reasoning why we chose the colors in our X-Man, which is a representation here on the screen. Next screen from there. We represented Berkshire, not just the Boston and the city areas, but also the suburbs and some rural areas as well. So in downtown Pittsfield and all of our major offices, including on the south end of Boston, this banner is going to be presented. One in downtown Pittsfield is going to be 26 feet by 36 feet, hanging where we usually have the American flag for Memorial Day celebrations. And it's really showing representation to the community and that we are a bank that stands with all who want to bank with us. And if we go from there, next slide on. A couple things that we came up with, and part of this was in collaboration of just talking to Boston Pride and a couple other groups, was having a virtual Pride celebration video. So we've reached out to our organizations, members in the community and nonprofits, and asked them to provide little clips about what Pride means to them or showing us past celebrations. And we're going to be launching that on our social media going into the month of June. We're aiming for the second and third weeks. And we also focused on in history videos, which we're calling employee history videos. But we really want to point out, where did this movement start? Stonewall, Harvey Milk, significant political figures that were available that helped us move forward in the cause. We wanted to give them shout outs and educate everybody in the greater community. And the last part is our updated logo, which is shown on the top of this slide here. And that's that same X-Man with all the colors of the rainbow. Our people are calling the trans community representative. That's going to be on all of our marketing on social media, as well as it'll be available for anything that's printed out during this particular time. So that is it for Berkshire Pride. I'm looking forward to your questions at the Q&A when it comes up.
Excellent. Thank you, Chad. Our next presenter is Linnea Johnson. Linnea is the co-leader of New England Pride Employee Resource Group at Dell Technologies. Along with her is Beth Pilgrim. She has been with Dell since 2017 and is a program manager on the business planning and operations team. Prior to Dell, she worked in academia for 15 years as an IT manager and adjunct faculty member. In October, she and her wife welcomed twins Elijah and Julian to their family. Linnea's life has been an amazing shift into learning the ropes involved with motherhood of multiples. Getting to know them and their ever-evolving personalities has been an incredible adventure for her. Welcome, Linnea.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So what did we try to do for Dell? I think we're all in a similar position. Like, how can we take this exciting Pride Month where it's so, you know, face-to-face and community building and make it fun virtually? So we've tried to sort of have a smattering of events that really represent not only fun, educational, but panels as well. So I've sort of separated our things into three groups. We're calling it Pride's Got Talent. And so our Nashville team is actually doing weekly cake decorating challenges. So we have a former celebrity chef, Jay Haas, who is a Dell Nashville team member, and we're doing cake decorating challenges with him and our team members there. We're doing a lip sync battle. We're calling it season 2 because we had season 1 in April and we had 420 people show up. I was fortunate to be one of the judges, and the pictures on the right, the middle picture is a fellow Pride leader at Dell, Gabe, but in this situation, he was Quarantina, or she was Quarantina. Those are toilet paper rolls as her rollers. So she was one of the moderators. And so I think part of what really came true during the first one and why we're doing it again was we had folks that were part of our Pride community, but the invitation was spread so widely. So we had 420 people. It was an amazing opportunity to really showcase 10 really talented folks that lip sync to a wide variety of songs, from Queen to we actually had 2 Queen songs, but it was great. And so another thing that we're doing every Friday afternoon, we're doing Pride dance parties where the picture on the top, you know, we typically have 100, 150 people show up and just dance and just have an hour that at the end of the week to just kind of dance, bring kids, bring family members, and it's been super fun. Some virtual events that we're doing during Pride Month. Actually, today we have a fireside chat with Alfonso David, who is the president of the HRC, and our global exec sponsor of Pride for Dell is going to be talking with him. So that's something that we're really excited about. We're also we have a gender pronoun training that one of our Pride team members came up with the content for, and they're going to be leading a session during Pride Month, partnering with our Women in Action Employee Resource Group. And I think that's part of what we're trying to do. Dell, we are a company that has 13 employee resource groups, and Pride is just one of them. So we're trying to partner with our fellow ERGs on events whenever we can, just to help spread the word. We're doing a career session, partnering with our Latino Connection ERG. We're also doing an Ally Power Hour, which I think will be great. I've seen the content, and it's just a way, how can you be an ally to your LGBTQIA peers and colleagues? For New England Pride, we've been doing this since April. We do bi-weekly, but during Pride Month, we'll do weekly virtual game night. So we've done Pictionary, we've done Family Feud, we've done Bingo, which was a big hit. So we're doing one every week during Pride Month. And we're doing a weekly sort of daybreak fitness series so that Pride members of any level can sort of exercise together. And we also have a partnership with Gender Cool, and we're doing a panel during Pride Week where it'll be our Gender Cool champions and their parents. And so it'll be broken into 2 breakout sessions. One will be for parents of transgender and non-binary kids, and the second one will be sort of best practices around HR and D&I staff. And then finally, we're doing a lot of internal communications. So a lot of our Dell executive leaders will be sending out blog posts, sort of kicking off Pride Month and then closing it. We're doing a lot of sort of efforts that are like taking over Instagram during the month, you know, so it has several different voices. We have a self-ID program, which is an opportunity for team members to identify themselves as part of the LGBT community in a confidential manner in our Workday HR system. And finally, we're going to be sending out what we're calling Pride Care packages, which are packages like a t-shirt and some sort of swag to our really engaged members. So lots going on. Hopefully this is helpful. Happy to help any who have questions, but thanks for the opportunity to chat.
Sorry, I have to unmute myself. Apologize. Any comments, questions coming in from the chat at this point? Scott or Nikki? Okay, we'll move on with our final corporate presenter. It's going to be Kim Orfram. Kim is a director of Global Regulatory Affairs, CMC. She currently leads the Biologic and Gene Therapy team. She's the global co-chair of Reach Out at Biogen and has a passion about diversity and inclusion. Prior to Biogen, she was a quality assurance, she was in quality assurance at Abbott Bio Research Center, now Aviv. I probably pronounced that wrong. Kim has a wife and a 2-year-old daughter. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much, Lauren, and thank you for the previous presenters. Really inspired by the work that you're doing. So happy to share in terms of how Biogen is thinking about our virtual Pride. Like many of you, obviously, this is a new space for many of us. And you know, we see a lot of opportunity as well in terms of especially our global colleagues as ways that these virtual platforms may allow for more inclusion. I just wanted to briefly share a little bit about Reach Out in terms of our employee resource network, as we term it within Biogen, and our legacy, which we created a couple of years, and in terms of sort of guiding what we aim to do. And of course, a big part of that is really trying to create communities filled with pride. And as part of our team priorities, as we developed them earlier this year, you know, we utilize Pride as really an opportunity to share and pull through some of those key areas of focus, which certainly has some resonance and connection with the previous presenters. So a lot of family-focused education and providing resources, how to create and build becoming an ally. Health equity is incredibly important, as it is to many, in terms of really looking at the current challenges with regards to health disparity that currently exist, and our partnerships with our other ERNs or ERGs in this space is something we're very committed to. We also want to create a lot of partnerships with universities, especially around any data that might be available to support some of our health equity work, as well as you know, how we kind of sustain and build these partnerships to impact policy. Certainly, there's a lot of state legislation outside of New England that's been quite scary, and how can we you know, support that in a broader way. Next slide, please. So as we think about what we're doing for this year in terms of Pride, again, you know, there's an opportunity for us to think globally and acting virtually. And again, as we do have colleagues who are based in US and Europe, in Asia, and you know, in South America, how do we, you know, create this platform? This has been something we've been challenged with over the years in terms of how to create more engagement with our colleagues who are at different sites. And we see an opportunity certainly this year in terms of even making the Boston Pride events more accessible for our colleagues outside of Massachusetts to participate. And we're pretty excited about that. We will host a virtual social hour, and we're aiming to have that a globally, you know, acceptable time. Of course, there's some challenges for our Japan-based colleagues and Asia-based colleagues, but we'll really try our best and really, you know, how to build community and celebration. You know, in terms of social media, you know, we'll develop some video content, you know, certainly follow the lead of some other companies with regards to utilizing rainbow filters for our profiles to show our identity as Biogen as being one of being inclusive, and really applaud the work of Berkshire Bank in terms of leading in terms of creating more inclusive logos. I think that's something certainly we should have active conversations about as well. I really appreciate that work. We'll look again for local and global community-based events. The senior level sponsorship, it's also an easier ask for the for the executive committee, for instance, to perhaps be involved for, a drop into a virtual session versus physically showing up to something. So we feel that ask is actually a bit easier this year, and just sort of supporting that has been good, and really appreciate the support from our D&I and our communications colleagues internally. We're looking at creating some virtual backgrounds. Of course, that's timely. I should have demoed it here today, in terms of kind of demonstrating one's pride through your participation in Teams or Zoom-based meetings could be pretty cool. And also promoting the use of pronoun identification as part of our email signatures, as just sort of increasing the utilization of that. And then also really stepping up our efforts with regards to either donation or support through volunteering in support of the community, through organizations that we care about a lot and we've cared about for many years, again through supporting that. Next slide, please. I think the last piece just to share is, we are still somewhat of a small but mighty team in how we can continue to partner with other organizations that do excellent work and connect with Pride in Our Workplace, Mass Bio, certainly Boston Pride, and OutBio. These are areas, of course, with our affiliation in the biotech space, but also opportunities to partner with other companies, small and large, to leverage our collective efforts to accomplish our goals. And I think that's something I would encourage others to consider as well. So thank you so much, and also look forward to questions.
Thank you, Kim. Any questions coming into the chat at this point for any of the presenters before we move on to the next agenda item on our call?
No calls yet. The floor is open. We have a question from Gavin about, are these slides available to be circulated to attendees?
I'll ask the Pride Committee that question.
I don't think there'll be any problem with that. We can double check with the presenters to make sure that's fine. And if that's the case, we can send it out. There'll also be a recording available.
Thank you.
Got one more question here from John. Is Boston Pride creating a list of best practices from these, slides and from other programs?
John, hi John. We can certainly take what other people have been talking about here and send that out to the team.
That would be great. Thank you. We have I'm one of the co-leads of a fairly new BRG at Eversource. And so we want to learn from everybody who's been doing this for a while. And so this is an awesome opportunity. I really appreciate you guys sharing. But yeah, we want to learn from everybody else and figure out how to really launch this and be a strong business resource group for all of our community members and families, et cetera, at Eversource. So thank you.
I think we'll take a pause here and move on to the last agenda section, and then we can come back to the outstanding questions in the chat. So I just wanted to take a moment now and turn it over to members of the Boston Pride Committee to share with you what platforms work best for what types of events.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Matisse Dupont, and I run Boston Pride social media. And so I wanted to talk about the different platforms for streaming that you might want to consider as you are planning your events. So the first one, as we all know, is Zoom. You're on it right now. Hey Zoom. So it's really great for as we're doing conference calls, presentations just like this one. And another one that's really good for is for ticketed events, because you can you know, you can set up like passwords. And so what you can do is sell tickets and then send the link with the password just to the people who have bought tickets. So it's really good if you're trying to do ticketed events. I'm not sure if the ERG are doing that, but it's useful for that. YouTube Live is great. It's a place to stream live things. They're sort of just jumping on that now. Definitely be really cautious of copyright restrictions there. Their YouTube is very, very good at like finding like if you're using like music, for instance. So they're very strict about copyright infringement things. So that's about YouTube. It's fine. One more thing about YouTube is if you have a pre-made video, and you can also like premiere it sort of in a live-ish way. It kind of feels like a live thing, but you're just premiering it. So that's another useful thing about YouTube. The next one here is Twitch, which is basically it's a gaming platform for streaming your like playing your video games, and people can talk. And it's sort of being used by a lot of different performers and musicians right now. It's sort of being used as a way to show off performances. So it's just a great way if you have like a whole pre-recorded set and you want to just play that, you can do that on Twitch and people can come over and watch it. The next one that I want to talk about briefly is Facebook Live. Facebook Live is a really good place because if your organization already has a sizable following of some sort, it's just going to automatically go there. You're not going to have to get people to click away or join something. It just sort of pops up on their feed, and that's really valuable because a lot of people won't want to take the time or energy to go somewhere, but if it's right there and you're doing something public, it's just like, bam, hey, and it kind of goes live. And the same goes for Instagram Live. They're the same company. Basically, it's just important to remember who you're going for and the fact that different audiences live on these different platforms. So for instance, if you're looking for Gen Xers or boomers or really, really young, like young kids, general audiences, Facebook is great. If you're going for like Gen Z, millennials, and sort of some of the younger Gen X folks, Instagram Live is really good. Instagram Live is also way more conversational. It kind of requires a person to be talking live, whereas Facebook Live, you can be streaming like a video or something that you've pre-produced. So Instagram Live is a lot more like casual. I think it's a good way to put it. And then the final thing down that we have here is StreamYard, and we use that for Boston Pride a lot. StreamYard is a place where you can use it to record videos, you can use it to stream things, and what's really, really great about it is if you have one thing that you're trying to put out, like one thing that you've made, you can stream it to like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch all at one time. And so it's a great place to use as a hub to send to many places. And so YouTube Live, Twitch, and Facebook Live sort of operate in a similar manner. I'd say, just to summarize, right? Instagram Live is more of a place to have a conversation or have a person talking. Doing interviews is great on there, and Zoom is good for things like this with presentations or ticketed events. Any questions about those? I know that I went over that pretty quickly.
Matisse, you have one question directed to you about if the platforms require downloaded apps or can be done via web.
Sure. So the only one so Zoom requires a downloaded app. YouTube does not, Twitch does not, Facebook Live and Instagram, I guess not, but I think a lot of people are going to want to watch it like on their Facebook and Instagram apps. So it doesn't require it. You can like send a link around. And then StreamYard, I believe, is also just online. It does not require an app. It's like an online service that sends to the other things.
I'm going to throw a question to Chad. Allison at State Street asked about, approved technologies and is it possible to do interactive events in corporate platforms? And Chad, maybe you or Vanessa have comments on that.
Well, I know Vanessa is probably going to be a little stronger in answering the question than me, but I know that we have been evaluating some different options. Vanessa, are you on the line?
Yeah. I am in no way IT, so I just want to put that out there. But there are options through WebEx in order to do some live features. I know that you have to have a relationship with WebEx, so if that's something your company already has, you should be able to utilize it, but I would definitely check in with your IT team to find out exactly what your limitations are with that.
And one part I can add to that is when we had our new culture and inclusion president, Linnea Johnson, join with us, They unlocked Facebook internally at the bank, which was pretty shocking that you can go on there, but it was to encourage employees to look at some of our live stream events, as well as to make available that they can sign up to be members of private groups on Facebook to share data.
And I guess the summary to that is that you need to check with the app that you're using to see if you're getting the services, features, and benefits that you want. I participate in some cross-functional calls with my industry group, and we use the professional version of Zoom, so we can do live polling, live chat, and it's just more robust, so that you can provide additional features to your presentation.
And I will just add one more thing too, is if you do have something like Skype for Business, or if you're using Microsoft Teams, a lot of those platforms allow you to do some different things strictly internally too.
And then we had one other question. Would somebody like to jump in from the panelists about best practices for dealing with to support LGBTQIA families, especially in this time of quarantine?
Sure, I can just jump in really quick. We're going to be doing a Share Your Pride sort of campaign where we are asking people to tag us in photos and share the hashtag Wicked Proud of them and their families all decked out in their pride gear, standing on their porches with their really beautiful rainbow porches and houses decorated. And so getting everyone involved and like taking pictures and documenting it would be a really great way to get people to feel involved, where you can't come to the parade and sort of celebrate and cheer. You can still dress up and feel like a part of a community. So that's one thing that we're doing and encouraging people to do as well, to sort of make, like, especially because a lot of people have like really young kids who they want to take to Pride to sort of expose them to it, or to like support their young LGBT kids. And so it's a really great way to sort of do that and show that your family is supporting you, is by, everyone dressing up together.
And just so, and I hate to jump in here, but just so everybody's just knows, if you go to the Boston Pride website, and you'll see this on GLAAD's website and Bagley's website as well, each of these organizations will have a really nice list of resources, especially during the climate that we live in now. I know that Bagley, for example, has a really awesome active virtual GSA program going that we've been referring a lot of groups and families to. So, those are some available resources as well.
I can just chime in for Dell, or any event that we have, like today we have our dance party at 2. All family members and kids are encouraged to attend. So today we're sort of using it as our kickoff to Pride. So we're telling people wear your outfits that you would have worn to Pride, and that includes kids. Like I can't not mention that we have 7-month-old twins, but they're gonna have rainbow outfits on and just really be decked out. And it's just a way to, and all of our game nights are, are kid friendly, Pictionary, Family Feud, etc. So all of the invites that we're sending out, we're including family members and trying to make it as inclusive as possible. And on Wednesday night, I was on a panel working with Out Metro West, and they did sort of a career panel for their middle school group. And so just kind of talking about your career and sort of your story. And so I think we're trying to find ways to work with our external partners like Boston Pride, like Out Metro West, like the LGBT Chamber of Commerce for Massachusetts, and sort of finding creative ways for collaboration and involving families as much as we can. So that's kind of what we're trying to do at Dell. Hopefully that's helpful.
And we're at the time of the,
Sorry, go ahead, please.
We're at the time of the meeting where people can feel free to unmute yourselves. I mean, you can still chat in questions, but if you wanted to speak live, feel free to do that now.
I was going to add from a Biogen perspective as well. One of the I think progresses that we've seen is more direct communication with regards to also access to mental health resources for colleagues. And again, as a parent you know, mental health and being a parent, but certainly the pressures that one faces, especially during this time, and sort of being more transparent and open about what mental health resources may be available for our team members globally. I think that's been a welcome, you know, sort of update with regards to the direct communications around those support.
I know as an employee of Berkshire Bank, I've appreciated just the HR response of covering things that, you know, talk about mental health and getting up and stretching at your desk and just the trying to address the kind of the realities that we're facing, reminding folks of EAP and, you know, Berkshire actually created a fund for its employees just to help with expenses if they're having you know, income risk sustainability problems. So that's just some other things generically that tie into the, you know, the COVID.
And this also might be an opportunity to push some of these things with your senior leadership. I know at Iron Mountain, this particular situation with the pandemic really pushed them to act much faster in rolling out a global EAP program that they had staged out over a longer time frame, and they took this opportunity to accelerate that to support people. Any additional questions or comments in the chat, or anyone want to unmute themselves and join the conversation?
I have a question for the group here. You know, obviously we're all advocating for LGBTQ plus people, but we live right now, especially with what's going on in the media, with a lot of, you know, systemic racism sort of impacting the current climate of today, especially. What sort of things are different organizations doing? This is just for my own personal curiosity, to sort of, you know, be able to create messaging internally that strongly speaks out against racism and systemic racism and white supremacy. Does anybody have some movement going on in their groups?
Hi, this is Gavin Alexander. I'm a lawyer at Ropes and Gray. I can't say that I've seen this personally, but I work with a number of legal organizations, and a diversity advocate I work with at the Attorney General's office often recommends that employers dealing with this type of issue, this public media trauma, to specifically encourage employees of that affinity group to, for example, call out Black, like you would call out sick, calling out Black, calling out LGBTQ, calling out Latino when a communal trauma has occurred, specifically reaching out to your affinity group and saying, hey, if you need a day off to just process, take it. Rather than expecting employees to have to come to you and say, I'm dealing with something, I need a day. The affirmative reach out saying, we see that this is something that your entire community is going through. Today, if you need it, can really help.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
And I can speak from a Biogen perspective. I mean, intersectionality has been something that we're taking very, you know, I think it's coming up more in our conversations over the last, you know, year and a half or so as we think about our identities and partnerships. And I think I hear in your question is a call to action, I think, for all of us too, to not be quiet, you know, about what is happening, and to also call this out. And you know, again, I want to just appreciate you for bringing that out. And I think that will help us to think about how we can use, you know, Pride again as a platform to support those messages.
I'll just say one thing. Internally in Boston Pride, there was always this identification of the need to do these virtual events. So I applaud everyone for going the extra mile to do these events, to put something on. As you know, we lost something huge by not being able to gather. So it's great to do whatever you can in order to make those things happen. We have several things on our calendar at Boston Pride, just out there. I'm inviting everyone to join whichever ones you can. There's some good diverse group of things on there. But this is a great way for everybody just to stay connected. So thank you all for participating.
Yeah, and another thing I'd just like to share, if you look at any of the larger organizations that support this community, you know, Out and Equal, the NGLCC, the HRC, there's a lot of virtual content that those organizations are sponsoring right now. I know here at Iron Mountain, we're leveraging, you know, all the virtual stuff that Boston Pride is doing, that Out and Equal is doing, that HRC is doing, just because we're constrained with resources. You know, we're been impacted significantly in our industry, you know, a lot of layoffs, furloughs, reduction in hours. So even the people that normally participate in some of our ERGs are not able to do that right now. So being able to leverage what's out there, and there's a lot of community out there offering virtual events, I just recommend that people look into those sources as well. Okay, any final comments, questions? Additional people want to unmute and share?
Yeah, hi everybody. This is Karen Young, and I've got my personal hat on, I would say, in this moment. And back to Raina, and thank you for bringing up the opportunity that we all have to show up and take action. This morning I was reading, and now I've lost it on my, as I'm sure everybody has on Facebook, how many opportunities to talk about the privilege that those of us who are white have, and the call to take action as individuals. And you know, I find myself in this moment coming back always to what is mine to do, and what can I do. And I was reading Stephen Chan's post, and of course I need to find it here. And on Medium, he lifted out and just gave a wonderful invitation, in this case to fellow AAPIs, to remember the work of racial justice and civil rights that the African American community has led, and how much in his case he was speaking to Asian Americans have benefited from that work. And I was thinking about how much the LGBTQ community has benefited from the work of civil rights and social justice. And there's this picture here of people who are obviously in a different time. They can be together with this banner, Asians for Black Lives, and was envisioning wanting to be with people around LGBTQ community for Black Lives. And what is it that we could do virtually at this point to come together with Boston Pride to say, we're taking a stand, we want to speak out, and we want to say thank you and do what we can do. So I just want to say thank you for bringing that up, Raina, and if anybody wants to dialogue or connect about it, please let me know. Karen Young.
Hi, this is Gavin Alexander again. One more follow-up from Karen. Thank you. I really love that idea. I also just wanted to flag there are a couple upcoming Zoom events addressing sort of allyship in the racial sector that people may want to be aware of. Showing Up for Racial Justice is hosting a webinar called A Call to Action for White Folks, which is taking place on May 28th. And I can put these links in the chat. And Brianna Boggs, who was a former director of development at GLAD and is now on her own as a coach doing racial and equity consulting, is hosting specifically a allyship seminar for white women in power on how white women in leadership roles can address systemic and implicit bias. And I can post those links.
Thank you.
Thanks, that would be awesome.
There's one part I'd like to add in actually. In the Boston area, Berkshire Bank has a lab called RevX Labs. It's in the Dudley Square area. And we're talking about kind of serving communities that are underserved banking wise. That is an area that we made available for businesses and organizations in the area. Nonprofits, if you're looking for a meeting space, obviously with the restrictions, we can't really have people gather there, but once everything opens up again, you can meet there for free. Use the facilities. There's coffee machines in the area, little meeting spaces, and there's actually a presentation room in the back with a whiteboard as well. And that's how we're really trying to get the communities engaged to help those underbanked and the people that are less fortunate and didn't come up with the same privileges as those that have those privileges in society be lifted up. Those labs are going to be built throughout our footprint, hopefully this year. COVID, of course, has put a little bit of a pause on that. And more can be found at revxlabs.com or directly off of Berkshire Bank. But I want to thank Scott for reminding me to bring that up.
Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone people are talking about how there's all these different ERGs working together. And I really think that it's really great for any Pride ERGs to be working collaboratively with the other ones in your institutions and to change the sort of systems within your institutions. I think working with the different groups that are focusing on racial justice or helping support those being built using the LGBT platform that you have to do so. It's going to be really important to work together. It's never just a single issue. Anyways, just 2 cents there.
I think one thing that, oh, sorry.
You can go ahead, Lenny. I'll follow.
Cool, thanks, Rena. One thing we're trying to do at Dell, and that's sort of a silver lining of COVID, is that it's really brought all of our regional Pride ERG groups together. So we're working on events like for New England, for for Nashville, for Austin, for all of our different groups that were not really siloed before, but we're now collaborating in ways that I think are really powerful because all of us have connections with sort of our own local nonprofits. And so to be able to have this opportunity to sort of be united in that way, I think it helps spread the message, and it also helps bring a lot more visibility to the sort of regional and local causes and nonprofits in a way that I don't think would have happened necessarily. I mean, I think eventually would have happened, but it did sped it up, which I think is important and helpful. Sorry to interrupt, Rena.
No, I was just going to say that, I've been working for Pride organizations for the past 15 years, and I've been noticing this uptick, especially in the past 3 years, of new Pride networks, new employee resource groups, and it's just been kind of exploding within the corporate sector. So I just wanted to just plug really fast in here because, these conversations are really great, and it's just really nice to see the collaboration. But and to bring it back over to kind of touch on Karen again. Karen Young's been a huge asset to us, and I just wanted to put that plug in there. Also, Pride in our workplace is a huge asset to Boston Pride because it really creates a space for a lot of these internal groups to collaborate and work together. Karen, I don't know if you want to say anything additional about Pride in our workplace.
Thank you, Raina. And John's also on the call. And as are many of you, it's great to see everyone. And John, do you want to say anything about Pride in our workplace?
Sure, absolutely. Thanks, Raina, for the opportunity. We really appreciate participating in the call today. And thanks, Karen, for your very thoughtful comments. So a number of you know about us. You've come to some of our meetings. We're an organization that brings together LGBTQ plus employee resource groups from across New England. We have several events a year. We just had one on May 20th where we spotlighted some really good best practices during the pandemic to support LGBTQ employees. We had representatives from corporate America. We had a nonprofit representative talking about the community, which was Jansen Wu. We had Ruben Hopwood had a really great thoughts and some resources around mental health right now, and what he's saying in terms of some of his patients and what organizations are asking him about. So we are looking to continue those forums. We've had several so far this year. Just listening to the conversation today, one of the things that I'm thinking about is maybe having another session that drills down a little bit more on the mental health aspect of this, and has a broader conversation around that and brings folks from companies that can share some of the work they're doing with their employees. I love the idea of pulling together to look at racial inequities, racial disparities, and some of the challenges that organizations are having and how they're communicating to their employees about this. I could see us, supporting a forum like that as well. So anything that we can do to help connect ERGs within organizations, to provide those connections, to provide an opportunity to share some of the work that you're all doing and how to lift each other up, help support each other. A lot of the conversations around collaboration are so important. I was the head of diversity at Fidelity for many years. And I'll tell you, the events that come together where ERGs share and collaborate and work together are the ones that are the most powerful. And leadership recognizes that because they see that these groups are wanting and striving to be inclusive, and it's not just about their agenda, it's about the overall agenda around D&I and inclusivity that really makes an impact. So, to the point around collaborating with your other ERGs, that's something that we support and promote as having a really powerful impact on an organization. So I'll put my email address in. Karen will put hers in as well. And let us know if you're interested in participating in some future events. We're in conversations now around what we want to do for Pride. So there'll be more to come on that. Karen, anything else you'd like to add?
That's great. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Karen. Anyone else want to unmute and share or make a comment or a question? Okay, excellent. Any final comments from Boston Pride as we close out the call?
I mean, I hate to be like a Debbie Downer, but
But you will be.
I'm gonna take that right now. So just so everybody here knows, there is an online cyber trolling sort of thing going on right now, where a lot of radical groups are trying to shut down LGBTQ plus messaging and organizations. So there's like a planned cyber attack that I think a couple people have already experienced. And so just to be wary of that, to make sure some things that are really helpful in protecting that are just making sure that, you have your privacy settings, secure on your social media, your organization's social media and things like that. Yeah, just wanted to put that out there. And then I just wanted to say too, like, I really appreciate, trying to get away from that negative part. I just really appreciate everybody making themselves available. All of the energy and activism into like supporting Pride, especially right now, it's been really great. When, a lot of corporations kind of get like a little bit of a negative kind of vibe from LGBTQ plus community members when they're supporting Pride organizations. And the people like that are on the call right now, and a lot of people this year, I mean, you're supporting Boston Pride regardless of what's going on. So it really shows like your sincerity, your dedication into bringing visibility to the community. And I just really wanted to reiterate how much I appreciate that and how much our organization appreciates that. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew. And if you need more information about Boston Pride, if there's anything that we could ever do for you, please feel free to reach out. You can reach out to my email, or you can reach out to info@bostonpride.org.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, especially to our presenters from Berkshire Bank, Dell Technologies and Biogen today for sharing with us what they're doing. I hope everyone had an opportunity to learn and hopefully take some of those ideas. Like I definitely want to do the, the lip syncing thing. So maybe I'll just have to join another organization to participate in that. But,
we would love to have you, Lauren.
I would love to do it. So don't even tempt me. If I start singing now, the call will end very quickly. But
that's the
thank
good
you
thing.
again.
You do have to lip sync. You don't have to even use your own voice.
There you go. But I wanted to once again thank you everyone for participating with the active dialogue and questions and exchange. I think we can all benefit from sharing with each other and supporting each other during this time of COVID and some of the other social injustice things that are happening right now. So appreciate the community and thank you again for joining. And happy Pride.
Pride.
Thanks very much, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Have a great weekend.
Pride.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.